Welcome to the Idea Dimension.
Again, first of all, I apologise. I haven't bought the book. It literally after we spoke last time, just before Christmas, I was like, right, I'm going to go and buy that. And I even got the page up on Amazon and got distracted, and I haven't bought it. But I today I will buy it. You will see a sale after this. Um, but do you know what?
All good, bro. All good.
I've been reading the reviews on Amazon that people
Hmm.
have been, and you've got a lot. I don't know if you like look on the comments and stuff from people that have bought the book on Amazon. You know, the dreaded Amazon, and there's other places to go and get books. But
Yes.
do you know what? It's nothing but positive feedback. It's nothing but people saying how much they enjoyed this book. You know, Drunken Lies and Sober on Truth, which I think is a great title.
Thank you, man.
The feedback and the comments people are leaving are not just I really like this book, it's great, or someone got me as a gift and yeah, it was quite nice. But properly they're taking the time to write a lot about how this book has touched them, how they related to you as an author and what you're saying, and the ideas that you're involving in this book, like, you know, mental well-being and the stresses of living in this world today, and
Mm.
people being obsessed with their phones, and just their self-awareness of who they are and how they sort of fit into this crazy world. People are getting insights from what you're saying. People are relating to what you're saying. So, you know, that's not nothing. Do you know what I mean? So that in itself is a huge achievement to be able to produce, I think, material or art or whatever you want to call it that touches people like that. You know?
Yeah, no, thank you, man. Yeah, it's lovely that it's touching people in the right way. That's what I yeah. I think when you put something out there, you never know how it's gonna go, and especially with poetry, it is kind of your heart on your sleeve, and it feels a
Yeah.
little bit more exposing, and especially being male as well. I just feel like where we're at in the world that males, like I know obviously male and female, everyone, however it we're all going through our own battles. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I just feel that men in particular, we're in a society in a world where it's so hard to be honest, be vulnerable. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I feel like there's yeah, it's getting better, but I still feel like the idea that yeah, um, if you can create important conversations through words and poetry and get people thinking differently or sparking up those conversations in their own time with other people and also trying to dilute that element of when we've all got dark stuff going on, it's so attached to shame and that people feel guilty or strange about opening up about it and make it feel so heavy and go, oh, why do I come across as such a burden? And I think, yeah, a lot of the stuff I do is to do with kind of like suicide awareness and like yeah, like you said, man, mental health. And I'm just really touched that people have really kind of warmed to the book, man, in a positive way.
Sure, 100%, and they really, really have. But even more so than that, what I find interesting is it's almost like, you know, some things come along just at the right time, or or occasionally. And I think this is very, very true of art, be it poetry or filmmaking or music or whatever. Sometimes it appears just before the curve. Do you know what I mean? And I feel that this book of, say, poetry, but whatever poetry means, it's a book of
Hmm.
ideas and of questions, you know. And I
I
think
love that. Yeah, yeah.
this has appeared just before many other people are catching up to it to go, what are we doing? Like, who are we? Like, we're 2026 now. What are we supposed to be doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, is our
Yeah.
life supposed to be this? I'm stuck on a train for 2 hours each way. I'm working, spending all my time out of out of my house, but I can't afford anything. Like my relationships are breaking down. I don't relate to people. I'm not seeing my friends or family anymore. All this sort of stuff that it's probably always been there, but it seems that last year was there a lot and it continued to this. And this is potentially the answer to that question that I think a lot of people aren't even sure that they're asking yet. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd love it if that's the case. I think I've always tried to create something that's one, hopefully worth people's time. Because this is what I was thinking about the other day. That sentence, spend your time. So time is clearly a currency. The idea that you're spending your time on things, I want it to be worth your time, not just your hard-earned money. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, this is also this book is almost three books in one, to be honest. Like people couldn't believe how like thick the book is. I mean, I've got the book here. I mean, that's quite substantial.
sure.
If anyone's watching this, or if it is the audio. But yeah, this is the book I've always wanted to write for sure. And I kind of love that you said that things come along. It felt like just everything kind of aligned. Um, and I feel like we're in a world that's all about the chaos of things going on in different countries, the conspiratorial things, or the way we're being led through our mobiles by the media, by our governments, like all these kind of conspiratorial things, or just manipulation, or gaslighting, and all these kind of things that are very kind of apt words, and just how the lies are just being built like pyramids on top of the truth. And it's kind of like, well, what's really going on? And that's what I really like what you said. I'm trying to ask the question, like, what is going on? What is your truth? How do you feel about things in the world? What can you do to make better decisions in this world, rather than just following the sheep?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
want it to be a
yeah,
book that disrupts.
sure. It's something that is very absent from media these days. Film, music, television. We've got so much on demand, Netflix, all the other ones, that we could watch hours and hours and hours of stuff on demand on our phones, but without sort of trying to sound sort of too pretentious or go down that rabbit hole too much. But it's like a lot of just the noise that's all around, the chaos, as you said, isn't necessarily giving people much, and that's why I think so many people, certainly in the West, and you could say, oh well, that's a very kind of comfortable way of feeling because we've got spare time to worry about, are we okay? And someone else in India working 20 hours a day, whatever, in a sweatshop doesn't have that luxury and all that sort of stuff. And I acknowledge all of that, but it's we're at the stage where people are wanting something a little bit more, and anything that can shine a light on that is not just fun, but I think important, and again, just the idea of poetry, which come back to what we talked about at the beginning about, being a man is often, or traditionally, historically, difficult to express emotions or ideas about being unhappy or depression, all that sort of stuff. That it has got a bit better, but it still requires a lot of depth and focus. But poetry's often forgotten, in my interpretation, my impression of it, because it's kind of, it's something that kind of 19th century ladies did, but the evolution of, say, hip hop, which you could say is, an urban poetry or a version of poetry, obviously that in the last 20, 30 years has become massive as well. It's kind of, it's not gone away, with the digital age hasn't killed it.
Yeah,
It's more relevant today than ever before, because there's something real to it. Like I think I'm not a poet. Wouldn't really even call myself a writer, but it's almost like you can't write fake poetry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even though people are trying with AI, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But you could tell it. You could tell that, well, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't touch me. It's not my experience. But do you know what I mean? I think
yeah.
even bad poets, I think, if they started trying to write just slop or whatever because someone told them,
Yeah,
oh, you make £1 million doing that, I think they would still get to something, but even by accident. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. I think poetry should be a bit like a shotgun to your chest
Yeah.
or a brick in the face. I
Brick,
want it
brick
to
in
have
the face.
impact.
Yeah,
Just I wouldn't want the best kind of poetry, in my opinion, is when you're reading it. Not only does it hit you, but you either want to return to it or it stays with you, making you think about things differently. I think if you just read a piece and you're like, meh, like, and you go about your day, it's like, nah, man, that's not poetry. Even though I think with social media, I think there are so many poets now, which is lovely to see people expressing themselves in that way. And I think poetry is a it rhymes with therapy, and it is a great way for people to kind of you know go deal with some things that they're going through with their mind, get some of those demons out of their head and onto the page. And I think that's
sure.
beautiful, and I think it's great that people are able to tell some of their stories or how they've got through certain difficult times and inspire others through their words. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of poetry that's just words for words sake, and it doesn't actually have any meaning, or they're not using any of those cool little moments of like metaphors or analogies or similes or alliteration. And that's all the fun tools. That's all the things I love about poetry, that it's like these are all your different range of paints, as it were. If
Yeah.
you're an artist, but as a poet, you've got all those different analogies and tools and nuances to add to your work. Um,
And that's just made me think of a completely different question, but perhaps is related. We were saying about like all the different tools that a writer, poet could use in producing content, art. That I think is getting confused, perhaps these days with some people. And I use the example of the Rolling Stones song that they stopped playing a few years ago. The literally, I just forgot the name of it. Brown Sugar. That song is actually about slavery and how black people were subjected to all sorts of awful things from slave masters in South of America in 200 years ago. But some people were criticizing that because of the content. It's about that, but it's almost like they missed the point that this song's not promoting that, saying that, yeah, that was a good thing. It was criticizing it. But they couldn't distinguish between the fact that it's talking about that and that they're talking about that, but try to explain it from a negative point of view. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like
yeah,
we've gone down this weird route of you can't talk about some things objectively. You can't kind of talk about something and trying to point out that, yeah, it's bad without either like ham-fisting this is bad or like in a creative way. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably not explaining that very
yeah,
well.
yeah. Well, it's like, God forbid you have an opinion these days. It's dangerous to have an opinion almost. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
You can't,
true.
yeah, to try and have a conversation about any given topic almost catches fire very quickly, depending on what side of the coin do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you're saying, the
good.
perspective from either side, or yeah, yeah, you can get in hot water very quickly nowadays with certain things. That's also why, if I'm honest, poetry, if I wrote something and it was in a diary or I did it as a tweet, people would
Mm.
come at me and be like, what the hell is this guy? Blah, 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 blah. But as soon as it's in poetry, I think you take a step back, and then it becomes like, it's really interesting because it almost becomes, it's anyone's perspective. it's not just the person that wrote it. So it goes into a very interesting kind of void, if that makes sense, when it's through poetry. So anyone that comes across it, they can have their own opinion, and hence hopefully having a discussion about something. But it's not like this is what I think it is. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's why more people are doing poetry now through social media, because then they can actually have some kind of freedom of speech.
Sure. I mean, yeah, quite possibly. I mean, how are you finding promoting your work these days? Because obviously, writers writing books and all that sort of stuff, just like musicians and filmmakers, it's kind of there's more avenues open than ever before, but it's also really, really difficult as well, and probably harder than it ever has been, or harder than maybe it was like 10 years ago. Like, what's your
Yeah.
experience with that? How's it going? Any advice for someone who's like, yeah, I'd like to write a book, be it poetry or fiction or whatever?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I had an awful lot of help with this book in the sense of a lady called R. Denise. She was my editor, and she did the amazing artwork for the front. I don't know if I can kind of show it, but like the front cover, which is reversed, flipped on this thing. But yeah, we kind of talked to. We did so much kind of back and forth together, and I'm sure I was a very difficult client because I wanted to get it exactly how it was. I just wasn't settling for a certain thing because I
Sure.
said to her, look, I want this to be a book that we can both be proud of, hopefully, not just like, here, I'm paying you for the job you've done, and then that's
Yeah.
it. It's like, your name's attached to this too, so let's make it something we can both be proud of.
Of course.
But she was amazing because it originally had 4 sections to it, and she read through it and she went, none of this. She's like, this is so random. There's no connecting kind of tissue to any of these chapters. And I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, hang on a minute. And then I remembered the kind of tagline to the book was poetry, balance, and chaos. And I went, wait a fucking minute. And then I went, chaos. So then I did it into 3 sections. So then it's all about chaos, trying to find the balance, and poetry. So it was like just how that penny dropped. And so I just reorganized the whole book again, with those 274 pages, just having to like structure the whole thing. And it was, so yeah, it was a big journey. But yeah, I'd say to people that want to create a book, find a really good editor, and hopefully if it's an artist as well, that's great, because then you can work together to kind of create that vision that you want.
Yeah.
And then once you've got that kind of they've done the digital layout and everything, then you go to your various kind of publishers, or you upload it on Ingram Spark or Amazon, or maybe a bit of both. But if I'm honest, I think the advertising side of things is really hard, because you end up like, it's hard to rely on friends and family, because we've got a limited supply, and also you don't want to piss off your friends and potentially lose them because you're spamming everyone's email. But at the
Yeah.
same time, people wouldn't necessarily know about what you're doing, because we don't have those same connections and those same circles anymore. Like you said, we're so detached in our own worlds that we're all working to pay bills, and we've all got responsibilities and overheads, and we don't often get out that much. Essentially, like you work pretty much all day, you come home, you rest, ready for the next day of work. So you don't really have that luxury to hang out with friends and talk about what you're up to and stuff like that. And also a lot of the social media side of things, everyone's trying to put their hand up to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of just drowning in each other's need for projects, or trying to tell people what we're up to, but they're doing their own thing. They're dealing with their family or different situations that are going on in their life, or they're working on their own projects. So it's so hard to, yeah, unless you have a literary agent, which I know a lot of talented poets that do have literary agents, and they've got that support wherever their book is in the best-selling rank or whatever, it'll keep kind of bubbling up there. Whereas when you're independent, if you get a rush of sales, you go to a certain point where people are like, oh, your book's trending, man. That's awesome. Congratulations, which is lovely. But then like in 3 days time, it could just drop like
Yeah.
like a lift, just falling straight down to the bottom because you don't have that constant generated sales, and you're trying to find ways to promote through your handles. But again, you don't want to piss people off because then when people go on your handle, if they're after free poetry, which again, this is the other thing that I think is a massive catch-22, and I was chatting to a lot of poets about this. I said, you've got 565 poems on your page, and they're like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, and you just released a book, but like no one's buying it. And they're like, yeah, I know, I know. It's like, well, dude, that's because you got 565 pages of like poetry. I've got almost like 3 books worth there
Yeah.
on your page. So I might have lost a lot of followers and upset a lot of fans by removing a lot of the poetry from my page, because I'm like, the best stuff I do is in the book, and if you're able to buy it, it's I'd like to think that it's well. Here's another way of looking at it. You could rent a film for 19.99, right? And that will hopefully entertain you for maybe 24 hours. But you could potentially buy a book for 11.99, and it could potentially entertain you for the rest of your life if you looked after it and put it on a shelf and just use it whenever you want. So
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
and also I think it's hard to find the right price for your book as well. I think pricing, I think people that are trying to get books out there just drink up as much information as you can, listen to YouTube channels of people that have done it as well, and get a sense of what works, what doesn't. Do the due diligence and research into what's going to work for your book and your audience. But then on the flip side, I know people that they're working on a book, but they don't want to release the book till they've got a certain amount of thousands of followers, so that then they think they'll have that audience. But I was thinking, but maybe by the time you got that audience, does the book still align with what you had in mind? Because now
Yeah.
you've got lost trying to build an audience for a book that now you might not know where that book fits in your life, and how everything aligns.
Sure. I mean, can do you think that an author can release a book without an audience if they don't have any social media footprint, and they're not lucky enough just to have landed a literary agent, and they don't have a sneaky £200,000 promoting marketing budget?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry.
Can they
Yeah.
still do it? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Can they do it without, or is it
I
almost like necessary?
it's a rocky road, but but to be honest, mate, I feel like I'm doing that. Like I don't have a massive following. I'm hoping that the work speaks for itself. The best form of advertising is word of mouth, and it's lovely, like you said at the very beginning, to go back. Like if people are saying very kind feedback about my book, and the reviews they leave, other people that don't know those people. I think the idea is you want strangers to buy your book, not people you necessarily know, because then there's a sense of bias. But the idea of strangers to come across it based on the fact that they've read reviews from other people, and it's based on their people are buying books based on other people's experience, not the fact that you've spammed someone's inbox and be like, check it out, man. I think you'll really, really like this. And
Yeah,
then it just becomes a bit kind of into cringe territory.
sure.
But yeah, that's I think that's what I'd love, to be honest. That if more and more people are reading it and they're sharing it with their friends, and their friends are sharing it with their friends, and then it has that kind of nice, kind of organic kind of build up, rather than it being about how many times can you promote something. But then, like the sea of social media, it's become very sneaky, and this is what I don't quite agree with, and don't quite like. They gave us all a taste. So when you first join, they let you get loads and loads of numbers. You'll get loads of likes. You'll get loads of interaction. And as the months and years will go by, they'll slowly shrink it, so that then you feel like you're not getting the same hit. Hence
Yeah,
why I feel like it's almost like a drug. Like you're not getting the same hit as you did before. So then you have to pay them to get a bigger audience. So that's this weird kind of literal, this dopamine. You are then paying to get your hit. And that's why I was saying, like, yeah, we've become like addicts. And the fact that it says we're users which is not by accident. We are users and we're trying to feed each other. So you're constantly putting stuff into the feed. And yeah, but if someone's got a project, don't wait. I think get it out there, man, and just see what you can do with it. See what can happen organically, because you can just keep working on yourself. You are your best project beyond the projects you're making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Again, it's interesting. It just reminds me of literally a post I saw this morning, and yeah, I'm as guilty as everyone else about just absorbing too much of this stuff. But they were talking about the death of the internet, how in their terms and their idea was that the internet literally died in 25. And what I mean by that is AI and all that sort of stuff, and fake accounts and bots and talking to each other, and certainly on social media, all the big social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter's, all that sort of stuff, that half the people you're integrating with aren't even real people. They're fake accounts or bots, and the comments may or may not be real, or you're just getting nothing because you're getting lost. And it's almost like people now, the same people in the last 10 years have kind of got addicted to this, are slowly waking up to the fact that maybe we don't need this, and that what might happen, that this is what they were sort of promoting, and I hope so, but who knows, that you're going to see much smaller but organic, like we're saying about organic poetry, organic authors, alternative social media platforms emerging. They'll be much smaller. They won't be as big as, like, say, Facebook, but they will be run by groups of people that actually want the experience to be better for the people to use, and it's not driven by purely as in pay us to get seen by a billion people, but it will literally almost kind of like going back to how I remember MySpace was in the early
I knew
days.
you were going to say MySpace. Yeah.
Because I felt that, I mean, this was very, very early on, but I remember I probably didn't have many friends, followers, whatever, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was called friends at the time, on Facebook, maybe like 80 something. But I remember actually, I knew who every single one of them was, either because I knew them in real life, or some of them I didn't know. Some of them lived in America or whatever, but I'd got to know them, and I would speak to them regularly, just about music or films or whatever. But it felt like these were real people, and it's kind of like, if you had loads of followers, friends, it would be weird because, well, clearly you don't know 5,000 people, so why have you got 5,000? But somewhere along the line that got lost. But it's maybe in terms of art and creating books, writing, be it poetry or fiction or music or whatever, that it would be better to have a smaller audience and an ecosystem around you, but one that's real, because either way you're either going to sell like 100 copies or you're not, regardless if you've got a billion friends. That doesn't mean you're going to make a million sales.
It's more authentic, right? So that's
exactly. And it's we're not living in this kind of fake, superficial, two-dimensional universe, but yet still feeling, oh, I've failed because I've only sold 30 copies of my book. But in any other reality, if you're sitting in a bookshop on a Wednesday afternoon when the rain pouring down and you sold 30 copies to 30 real people, you'd be like, today was a really good day.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just numbers have really kind of clawed their way into people's minds now, and we grade ourselves on so many things, like you're saying, because you're seeing thousands, billions. The idea of 30 just sounds so small in comparison, but you're absolutely right. If that was like a kind of independent shop and you've sold 30 books that day, then yeah, having 30 customers come into an independent place is brilliant. Like, that's a successful day for sure. Yeah, I think it's really important about the authenticity of things. The only thing is, I worry that it's a bit like, that saying of like poisoning the water hole. I feel like once there's a nice area and then you've got 200 people go there, 500 people go there, 1,000 people go there, 2,000 people go there, 200,000 people go there, 500,000 people go there, 1 million people go there. You've now turned it into the next Facebook or Instagram, because the problem is then it's become so popular that now again everyone is just, it's like the snake eating its own tail through art.
It's like the really good pub that everyone goes to and you can't get served at the bar.
Yeah,
because
I love that analogy. 100%, bro. The vibe is good, but everyone still wants a packet of crisps and a pint, and we can't get served now because 2 million people have turned up to this pub. And it's great for them because they are making money, clearly, but now there's a lot of upset customers. They're like, man, I remember this place a year ago, man, when I could get served like that, and now I can't even get to the bar. It's like this thick with people. So yeah, I think, but that's just a hard thing. That's almost, even going into like overpopulation in a way now, that you can almost see that digitally, how there's so many of us now. And maybe I think technology has a part to play in this, that we've become so vain. There's such a vanity to one's own self that we care too much about our own successes and our own ventures, that we're losing the ability to socialize and care for other people. And ironically, that's kind of what I'm trying to talk about in the book, about where has the kind of social elements gone? Where is the love and appreciation for people you meet in the streets and somebody that might need help that you just randomly walk by, or like how we just so tunnel vision that we just like, no, this is where I want to be, this is what I need to do. It's quite frightening. And ironically, we were talking about this briefly last time over the phone, that I think that's diluted the art. So even celebrities like the Brad Pitts, the Catherine Zeta-Jones, the Kate Blanchetts, the DiCaprios, all those people are even starting to get like diluted now, because you've just got random influencers now that are creating content. And if they're getting billions of views, they're making that their living, and now they're an entertainer, and now they're getting cast in films. So then it dilutes even the boat of like, it's not like the Humphrey kind of Bogart days and the Catherine Hepburn. Do you know what I mean? It's gone a little bit crazy now, because then someone wrote a really interesting quote saying, stop making people famous for stupid shit. And I'm like, but it's true. You've got people pointing at things, or we're becoming presenters of other people's work. So it's not even our work.
Like recently with that, again, I don't even know who he is, other than the fact that he does those boxing matches off the back of the fact that he was like a online influencer and YouTuber.
Oh, was that Jake Paul?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a boxer, and kind of that was shown by him kind of getting smacked about.
Getting his ass kicked.
It's like he can get in the ring with people like Mike Tyson, who was like still is like an icon, by being a very good boxer for many, many years. But just off the back of the fact that, well, loads of people watch him on YouTube and he's made some money. So it's kind of like, he's like, he can pretend to be a boxer, someone else can pretend to be an actor, and you don't even have to worry about being good anymore. Do you know? It's just,
and that's
explain this.
Well, but more and more, the world is almost becoming one big version of Gogglebox, right? Because now we've got kids at home not playing games. They're watching YouTube of other kids playing games. So now they're not even playing games anymore. You've got people pretending to be at gigs, hugging one of their celebrities, like, Taylor Swift, like, I went to a gig, and it's all AI and it's fake. And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you got like front row seats and you got to see her afterwards. It's all a lie. It's all fragmented. It's all self-deception. And we're just falling into that dangerous path of not doing things. That everything's becoming passive. I mean, we thought TV was dangerous, but what's happening with our phones now is even worse, I'd say. Because it's like a computer / TV in your hand the whole time. That was the zombie apocalypse. That is the horde of people, because when people are looking at their phones, you're banging into people like, no, they're brain dead which is the zombie thing. Do you know what I mean? And ironically, we're living off the life force of other people's successes. Therefore, the zombie, like feeding off others, we are literally feeding off other people's successes and lives to make ourselves feel hopefully slightly better about our own. But then because of the comparison game, you feel even worse.
Yeah. It, it's such a strange place where you want to say like the planet is at, but of course it's not really the planet. It's it's more like the Western Hemisphere. It's North America and bits of Europe and the UK certainly, but I'm sure there's lots of people in the Amazon or parts of Africa that aren't worried about this and just doing what they have been done for generations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this me, this kind of hyper individuality that, well, I'm gonna be the next George Lucas. I'm not gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book and sell 1 billion copies. I'm not gonna just make some video because it's fun of me dicking around with my mates, but I'm gonna make a video and yes, it's gonna get like 1 billion views. And if not, then I'm a failure. It's
Yeah. Everyone's looking for that viral video, right? Which is so heartbreaking because you're right. Back in our day, when we were young scallywags, we would want to make a video just for a laugh and go, "Oh man, let's watch that video again," and like just have a bit of fun and go, "Oh, do you remember how funny that was, man? When you threw that can and it hit that person and went in the bin?" You're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And it's just that feeling of doing something. But now it's like, and I feel like it does come from the idea of detachment because we're so detached. We want to feel this love from 1 million people, which is kind of heartbreaking, weird in a way, because that kind of love from 1 million people would be fucking overwhelming. Because when you watch these documentaries now about all these celebrities and like more so probably the singers, like when you watch the kind of Lady Gaga documentary or the Robbie Williams or Billie Eilish or flipping Lewis Capaldi and all those, you see the darkness of the success that they can't find normal anymore in any given situation because they're hounded by people. They have mass anxiety when they try to perform and do what they love because they feel like either they're not good enough or they can't perform and they're going to lose their audience. Therefore, they might lose their business and their money and their outgoings and blah, blah, blah. And they just, the authenticity and the kind of organic nature of all the things they loved. Actually, to go into the Lewis Capaldi thing real quick, in that documentary, he wrote some of these beautiful songs and he went to the label or whatever it was and they were like, yeah, but are they number ones? And you could literally see Lewis Capaldi's heart break and he went, well, but you can never determine that. It's just a lovely song that people might relate to and enjoy and listen to because surely music is for listening. It's not for where are you? I think the problem with our species is we've got so carried away with grading that we forget to just be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe it's always been that way, but I think technology and the internet has definitely amplified that. But you're right, it's no longer the process which kind of the history of humanity, and again, being creative and art has always been about. You're telling a story. Someone gets up and does something, goes somewhere and learns a lesson. That's a song, that's a film, that's a written book, it's a play, whatever. But now it's almost like, I don't want to do that thing, but I want to do that if I'm recognized as the best person who's ever done that kind of thing. If I make a lot of money or become famous from that, but as soon as that happens, then it's like, well, you can't walk down the street, you can't go to your favorite restaurant because you're really famous. Everyone's mobbing you. And again, it's back to if I've written a book and I sold 1 million copies, that would be great. But like, you wouldn't want to be recognized by 1 million people on the street all at once because it would be too much. and then it's kind of, it's almost like whatever you want to do, it's gonna blow up in your face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
there's always pros and cons, isn't there? There's always that kind of catch-22 or that kind of caveat.
it's
Yeah, no,
it's yeah, we're definitely in a strange time and a strange place. But how many other books would you say that you've got? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you've done. I know this is your second book, right?
yeah, yeah.
Are you going to do a third? Do you feel that you need to, or you don't know? You haven't
Do
decided
you know what?
yet? Or
I mean, mate, that to be honest, that's a really, really great question. I'm so happy with what I managed to achieve and put into this book that I'm probably not going to write something for a good few years.
that's cool.
And when I want to wait for the material to come naturally rather than forcing it, because it's such a funny thing with like writing, because some people say keep writing right through the shit, so to speak, till it gets good again and all this. I'm like, but surely I want to write if something's kicking and screaming to get out of me.
Yeah.
And until I have that drive again, that's what I was like referring people, like, for people that do like my work and enjoy it, it's like, if you're missing where I'm at and what's going on, purchase the book, because there's more than enough content in there for you to be getting on with while I'm working on what I want to be doing next. But that's the other crazy thing as well, isn't it? Like, even ironically, in this kind of interview, that we've put something out that's barely a month old and we're already talking about the next thing. And it's like that kind of always moving forward. But I kind of just want to see where this kind of goes organically. I'm trying to put it into some competitions actually, which I've never done before. Just trying to get it out on so many kind of different levels. To kind of put the work in, really. Do you know what I mean? Because I think so many times we lay back and we don't put in the effort and go, why isn't nobody seeing blah blah? It's like, well, no, you got to put in. You got to put in to get out, and I really want to go kind of hell for leather on it. But I do not agree with this new process with the promotion through Instagram, which I'm not a fan of. That back in the day, you could promote something and you just pay purely for the promotion. But now there's an added fee to pay to promote on top of the money that you're paying for how long you want to promote it for. But then at the moment, Apple are taking, like, it was almost like £27 for the convenience of being able to do it. And I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
So you're almost paying maybe £97 or something for a £30 ad that's going to last 2 days. When
Yeah.
back in the day, you could pay like £30 and that will be the 3 days rather than paying the 97. So I'm like, what the, like, it's just gone
It's
absolutely nuts.
it is nuts. It is insane. That does highlight the greed of these massive multinational companies that aren't even about running good, fun social media platforms anymore. It's purely, it's a machine. It's feeding a machine. But the thing, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed, certainly on Instagram, I try not to use Facebook. I occasionally do. I'm trying to use Instagram less.
Trying to wean ourselves off.
Yeah, absolutely. But you'll watch some post by someone that you've followed for some reason. You like what they're talking about, and then an advert will come on, and the advert will be like really, really clear, really, really loud. You can hear it beautifully, but you just don't care about what the content. No, I'm not interested in wills or health insurance or whatever it is. Some the latest vitamin that you must have. So
Yeah.
you try to skip past it, and then you get to someone else's post, something, oh wow, I'm really interested in this person, they're talking about something really important, but like it keeps juttering, like it keeps stopping, the audio is not as good, but whenever the
Wow.
next advert, it plays beautifully. So it's just like, okay, so why is that? Why is the people that I'm following, because I like their content, it's really hard to listen to them without gaps and problems. But the paid advert, that couldn't
Yeah.
be more perfect, you know. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
Smooth as
again, like
silk. Yeah.
just choosing to be on an advert platform, you know.
But you're right, because like even now, if you're watching a clip, it's now turned into the new YouTube. So you're watching your favorite person on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, guys, this is how I did this cool little life hack," and you're like, "Brilliant, that's really helpful for me actually." And then like 30 seconds in, it jumps to that. Have you tried Deliveroo's new options and blah blah blah? And you're like, "What the fuck?" And then and you can't skip it. So
Yeah.
the adverts is taking up more of your time to keep you there longer while you just wanted to jump in, watch that little thing and then jet out. But they don't want that to happen. It is like Las Vegas. They need to keep you trapped so that you're constantly engaged and taking the you can I think the thing that this is what I was saying in one of my poems about the idea that we're just trying to kidnap eyes. Everyone is trying to do that now. Back in the day, words would be enough, but now they're like, add music to your thing, add this to your thing, add this to your thing. It's like, whoa, 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 hang on. So the idea that what we normally had isn't enough, we're having to do all these things, that we're having to jump through hoops in order to sustain the same audience we once had. But then kind of even more than that, the algorithm, and this is what I think is kind of disgusting in a way. It's creating zombies out of us where we're all becoming the same, right?
Yeah.
They want everyone's pages to look the same. So then they'll be like, if it's neat and has this kind of pattern, more people will come to you. Oh, okay, cool. So like we all look the same now. There's nothing organic, there's nothing unique to anybody anymore. But then even worse than that, if you're reacting to a video, you know, like when people go, couldn't believe this happened, look at this lady, or like something happened in a supermarket, then that person starts talking on that video. They're just jumping off the back of someone else's content that maybe loads of other people are sharing, but that builds up the algorithm. So then you've got really talented people that might be, I don't know, rappers, singers, poets, writers, artists, but they're now becoming like news presenters of other people's work because
Yeah.
that's how they get the kind of engagement. And it's like, what? Like, what the hell is actually going on? But then I'm thinking, those numbers don't mean anything anyway. It's all a facade. Because I knew a poet that had like 96,000 followers and things were going quite well. And then I think after a while, she like released like 4 or 5 books, and then it was like it just like dropped off, and nobody cared, nobody was interested. And then when she was promoting things, she'd get like 17 likes, and it's like, what? From like 97,000 followers, you're like, wait, there is something. And I don't believe she bought these
Yeah.
followers, but it just, but then at the same time, you look at all these celebrities that have like 8 million followers, but their posts have maybe 2,000 views. So even
Yeah.
that, like, there's always a compromise. Like you're never going to get the full amount. So it doesn't.
100%.
And then you've got the comparison between celebrities. I wonder if they're like, you probably got like Ryan Gosling, like kind of saying to Jake Gyllenhaal, like, well, hang on, mate, you've got a few more million followers than me. Like, you wonder if they're secretly comparing themselves. So the machine of social media has not only diluted the celebrity world and how talented artists are at their particular art form, but it's also making them in competition with each other on a kind of vanity level. We just
Sure.
we just lost our minds.
I think the one takeaway thing from our chat today has been what you said about almost like, you didn't say it like this, but this is how I interpreted it, is basically be in the moment and not trying to go the next thing. When you said like what you've produced, your book, Drunken Lies, Sober on Truth, that's enough. That's what you've got right now, and that might be the only book you ever produce. You might do something else in a few years' time, but it's enough for now. And you're being in the moment. you're not
Try.
worried. Well, in 6 months, I need to have this task and this goal and another book, and I need to be going to America. It's just like you produce something which, in itself, is amazing because so few people actually end up ever doing that. But there it is. It's there on its own merit. Like it, don't like it. But if you're okay with that, and you're okay with now, which is all any of us have, that the past has happened and you can't do anything about it, and the future we don't know, but we all have now. Do you know what I mean? And if you're happy with
100%.
now, then you've kind of won.
That's lovely. Well, yeah, I guess it's just for me. It's that weird. I don't know if it was Morgan Freeman, or if I'm kind of just freestyling this, but he says the most amazing thing about our species is that if we can see something, we can bring it into reality. Like we can literally almost manifest it into a tangible thing. And I think the idea that when I first had poems and released my first book, My Life in Pieces, I think I did that as to prove that I could do something.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, this second book means more to me because it's it wasn't just a flash in the pan. It wasn't just a fluke. A lot of kind of time and effort and thought has gone into it. But I think the other thing, I think, because with self-published, anybody like Joe Blogs around the corner could just release a book, and because so many people can do it, my worry is it dilutes the kind of the art or the kind of professionalism from it.
Yeah.
But by God, would I hope that anybody that purchased my book would see that on a professional level, I want it to be right up there with all of the known authors and artists and things like that. I'm not putting out things that are rushed. It was a long process, and I wanted it to be as professional as possible. And that's why I used a lot of my hard-earned cash to go to professional people to make it the best it can be. And I think that's the other misconception when you put out a book. But also I think some people think that authors make a big amount of the money from the purchase side of the actual price, but we get a very small amount. We might make £2 off a book, which that's something you couldn't even buy a coffee with £2 nowadays. So you kind of see where it's at in a kind of it was like someone said to me the other day, they were like, oh, I can't wait till you do an audio version of your new book, because then I'll definitely get that. And I'm like, dude, I was like, do you know how much effort and expense that is? Because then I'd have to find a studio, hire an editor, record, God knows how long it costs per hour to record in a studio space. Maybe you have to do retakes because it's not to the level that you want it to be. You want it to be the best it can be. Yep. And then 274 pages of an audio book. But then the irony is I did that with a previous book, but then it gets lost in all of the celebrities' books. And this is the other thing, you do a podcast and it's you're always against household names and celebrities because they have a genuine following. And if somebody releases, for example, Matthew McConaughey has released a poetry book, which I'm sure he's going to do incredibly well. And it is, because he's fucking Matthew McConaughey. Do you know what I mean? I think his is called Poetry and Prayer. And that's the thing. Celebrities, any kind of celebrity, a sports person, a boxer, any kind of person can go, I want to do this. And they release something and it does fucking incredibly well because it's based on the knowledge of how many people know them and support them and are curious about their lives. And I think that's the hardest part. When you are someone that isn't known, just some random normal person that tries to do something, it is like trying to carry a bath up a mountain. So it's really tricky, really, really tricky.
At the end of the day, your insights and your experiences are no less valid or exciting as anyone else's. That's the other crazy thing. You might actually have better stories than a lot of these Hollywood A-listers. Do you know what I mean? because you've
Yeah,
been
I've
through
definitely got more struggle, I'm sure, in my life than yeah.
yeah, exactly, and struggle counts for something, I'm sure.
The struggle is real.
Um,
The struggle is real.
struggle is real. Respect the
It
struggle.
builds character.
Drew, I'm gonna let you go now because we've been chatting. We've been chatting for 54 minutes, which
There you
is
go, dude.
crazy. But I've enjoyed it as I always do when we chat. Look, I would love to do this again. There's tons of stuff that we could talk about. We haven't even really touched upon our past
Yeah.
collaborations and attempts, filmmaking and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's another day, I'm sure. But no, Drew, thank you very much. Again, just tell anyone who might listen to this where they could get your book.
Yeah, man. Drunk on Lies, Sober on Truth. I mean, you can get it from Foyles, Waterstones, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you just type in that title into a Google search, it should come up with all the different options that you can
Well,
find,
they
or you
they
can
can
find me
actually
on
get it from
sales.
real bookshops. Like
Oh, dude, yeah, one hundred
Waterstones.
percent, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's what I mean. Like I've been putting in the yakka, man, in the work. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's available at those ones. It is more expensive though. This is the only thing again with the idea that when you put it into more kind of mainstream bookshops, if you're lucky enough even to get it into those and it gets received, yeah, Foyles, Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, it's like 14.99. It is built differently though. Interestingly, like those ones have got like a kind of cream page, whereas the one on
yeah,
Amazon is 11.99 and it's kind of just white paper.
yeah,
So I do feel like
yeah.
there is a slightly different. But again, I think it's that saying like you get what you pay for in a sense, right? So if you're paying
Sure.
slightly cheaper, I think it is made with slightly cheaper material.
I
Um,
think if I remember correctly, I think it's because most of the books sold on Amazon in Europe are printed in Poland from one particular printer. If I've got that right from memory, I could be wrong by that, but there's a reason for that. I think there's one particular
yeah,
big
yeah, yeah, yeah.
institution that just
But
prints all that stuff. Yeah,
and also that's also why there's a reason for why you charge a little bit more when it goes into the bigger places as well, because
yeah,
yeah, they will also take a higher rate off your book for having it in being an
sure.
independent author, so you get a smaller amount. But yeah, it's I mean, I could seriously, man, I could not be happier with the way that this book has come out. I mean, it's even got a spine with the little kind of
Yeah,
emblem on the
that's
side
cool.
there,
That's
which is
very cool.
cool. Um, but yeah, man. I don't know if you wanted me to read a piece or
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Yeah, just at the end.
should
Yeah, please do.
I do a okay, I'll do a quick one. This is called this is Tech No for an Answer. The door of my mind closed like a discarded book. Dangerous, dark, twisted weeds now grow in that place I can't help but look. The digital age has diluted the human touch. We now swipe people like the products we don't favor much. Humans are the new app as we apply ourselves to them all like Pokemon. Like everyone else's day, life, moments, photos, thoughts, but can't stand our own. Staring at my black mirror as I get mocked by my phone. Share our desperations with strangers across the sea in different homes. Technology's mastered a way of faking socializing that we all do alone. Palm trees in the palms of our hands in this fake paradise. The leaves, our thoughts and emotions paralyzed. People use sorry to put out fires, but the damage is already done. The ashes of those burning things can't be undone. Ash doesn't build back trees, too many empty apologies. Sorry is truly sorry for being in so many sorry people's sorries. Flaunting flesh through filtered fears, the essence of you just disappears. Haunted by many predators as they change up the gears. Each page is like a tree in a haunted wood. Open, sinister rabbit holes full of tears. The cross-dressing wolves waiting in the shadows for their Red Riding Hood to reappear. Maybe an artist's journey is one of self-discovery. Painting truth with anything we see, far beyond technology.
That's very cool, my friend. I like that.
Thank you, bro.
That's very cool.
Well,
Drew,
look, thanks for having us on,
thank you
man.
very
And
much.
I love what you're doing with this podcast, man. And I wish you all the best with it, bro. I'm sure it's
Thank
going
you.
to
Well,
be,
yours is
you're going to have
literally going to be the very first one, and I need to get
great
this up
guests.
ASAP. And yeah, let's do some more. Let's do some more.
Yeah, man.